book that I'm going to read to you today is called My New Teacher and Me by Al Yankovic and illustrations by Wes Hargis. Just look at this schoolroom. Maybe it's about like yours was. The first day of school, it was finally here. I wondered who be my new teacher this year. Over here it says, quiet please. And these are all class rules. No gum. 2 demerits if you chew gum. Then at 8:30 sharp, a tall stranger walked in. He stood by the chalkboard and stroked his long chin. Mr. Booth. He said, I'm Mr. Booth, and I'm happy to say I'll be teaching you all about fractions today. Now open your textbook to page number 3. And that's when he stopped and he stared right at me. He said, you, young man, why is that filth on your shirt? You can't come in my classroom all covered with dirt. I said, hi, nice to meet you, sir. Billy's the name. See, a funny thing happened before the bus came. So he was all dirty. His shirt was all dirty. I was digging to China out in my backyard, and I almost was there when I hit something hard. Well, I dug and I dug and I dug a bit more. So here he is, way over here. He had dug and he discovered the skull of a real dinosaur. And I would have cleaned up, sir, but hey, I'm no fool. I just couldn't be late on the first day of school. So he was working in the back, and then it was time to go to school, and he didn't have time to change his shirt. For a second or two, Mr. Booth kind of froze, and then he walked up to me and he looked down his nose. I don't tolerate nonsense, no, not 1 degree. And your story sounds highly unlikely to me. This is periodic table. Return lab items. So he looked him right in the eye. Why, of course it's unlikely, I said. Oh, by far. The awesomest things in the world often are. He has a lot of things on his desk, don't he? For instance, this friend of my third cousin Ned's got a farm where the dairy cows each have 2 heads. Photos, $3. The cows have 2 heads, see? Watch your step. There's the little girl who's right by to be pulled in that wagon. That's so highly unlikely the tourists all stop just to take their own pictures at $3 a pop. So this is a farm, and he said that his third cousin Ned has this farm. Probably his father and mother, Ned's father and mother. Completely ridiculous, sneered Mr. Booth. Please stop wasting our time and just stick to the truth. Well, the truth can seem crazy, like that day in June when my grandfather famously walked on the moon. I'd say he's dreaming, would you not say? Maybe he's dreaming? Telling stories. Do you ever tell stories that aren't really true? And he played ukulele while flying a kite. It was in all the papers. You've heard of it, right? You know what? My grandfather even implied someday he might take me along for the ride. Look at all those things down here. Rocket fuel. The class started cheering, "Take us, take us, take us too." Then Mr. Booth bristled and snapped, "That'll do, that will do. Pure poppycock, class. Please be quiet. Be still. He is not going off to the moon, never will." "That's all right," I told him. "The moon is okay, but I've been to a much cooler place anyway." Now let's see what story he's going to tell. "I just went on a vacation with my dad and mom to an island somewhere between Norway and Guam, where the blueberry muffins grow right on the trees, and you flip inside out. You flip inside out every time that you sneeze. All the rabbits say moo, the poodles say neigh, and the traffic light colors are pink, blue, and gray. Look at the bunnies on that funny island." This little girl says, "Achoo!" She had a sneeze. Solidaire. "Oh, and every third Thursday about 1:30, all the gravity stops. Wow, is that ever fun?" Solidaire. "There's a squad eating contest, and hey, if you with it, they let you be king for exactly 1 minute. Then everyone does what you tell them to do. Man, I sure hope we get to go back next year too." So he liked this island that they were on. It was an unusual island. Mr. Booth didn't care for that story one bit. He furrowed his brow and said, "Okay, that's it. Admit that your stories are simply absurd, and just do not believe them, not one single word." Mr. Booth. That is his name, the teacher. Teacher's name. Now let's see what happens. Then I cleared my throat and said, "Well, sir, you know, just 'cause you don't believe doesn't mean it's not so. Just 'cause you can't imagine it, that doesn't mean that it simply can't be or won't ever be seen." He's thinking of all these different places and things he wants to do. I'll bet every great thinker and leader we've got could see all kinds of things other people could not. So then why get upset if someone like me tries to look at the world just a bit differently? What do you think? Quite a story, not? "Enough," Mr. Booth said. "No more of these stunts. You'll march straight to the principal's office at once." Something slipped from my book as I walked to the door. Mr. Booth picked it up. And his jaw hit the floor. It was me and a cow, with not only one head, but two. "Oh," I said, "I was planning to give that to you. It's a little good luck gift. I got it for free for my new teacher, Billy. There is a cow with two heads. And there's Billy down below there." He stared hard at the photo, then looked back at me. Up on top it says, "Quiet, please." I avoided the principal's office that day. In fact, old Mr. Booth put my gift on display. He steals a quick glance at it once in a while, and I'm not even kidding. I once saw him smile. So he put it right up there behind him. This is his desk. We should get along fine, and it's certainly clear there's a lot we'll be teaching each other this year, like how all my stories are perfectly true. You think his stories are true? Except for, well, maybe a detail or two. Just look at his bedroom, all fancy. There he is, dreaming about all kinds of things. And here's his hole in dinosaur head that he thought he had struck in the dirt. There's the head. Thank you for listening to this story and watching at the pages as I pass the pages from one to the next. Have a great day and God bless.